right, man, so I know we hear a lot about tariffs.
The United States is applying a 25% tariff.
In recent months, the pervasive uncertainty created by continuously changing U.S. tariff threats.
25% reciprocal tariff.
President Trump threatened to place additional tariffs.
270%. Have you ever?
I know we hear a lot about interest rates. I know we hear a lot about inflation.
U.S. stock markets plunged for the second day in a row.
We've seen consumer confidence tank.
Layoff numbers across the U.S. are the highest they've been since 2020.
The R word is back, thanks in large part to tariffs.
So what I want to do today in this video is break this down, because I got a lot of new investors in the game, right? And it's important that you understand how this money moving. You need to understand why stock prices are falling right now. You need to understand all these things. And right now in this video, we're going to break it all the way down. But also in the end of this video, I'm going to talk about a stock that I really like. It's a surprising stock, right? So I want you to stick around to the end, man. What's good, man? It's your boy, the Wall Street Trapper. Listen, right now, I need you to get your pen, I need you to get your pad, and I need you to take notes on this, because this one is truly going to be a great video. Let's get into it, man. All right, so we're going to get into it, y'all. All right, the first thing is the central bank raises rates. So what the central bank does is they're going to look at everything. That's your boy Jay Powell now, right? They're going to look at to say, okay, their goal is to have what's called price stability, right? And they want the economy, they want inflation to be at a certain price, right? They want goods to be at a reasonable price. They want money flow through in the economy to be at a good price. You know, I know you may be like, man, this, that. No, essentially that's what they want, right? So that's why you have the IMF. The IMF is looking at everything around the world, and they're going to say, hey, based on this, the economy in America should grow this. Based on this, the economy in Europe should do this. That's called the IMF, right? So now what the central bank is going to do is the central bank is going to look at everything that's going on in the economy. That's your boy Jay Powell, Jerome Powell. If you don't know him, that's called the Fed, right? So they're going to look at it and say, all right, yo, check this out. Based on what's going on in the world right now, that's why you have these reports, PPI, CPI, inflation data, jobs, all of these reports that we see day to day, week to week, that make the market go up and down. There's a reason why this happens. So the central bank say, hey, we're going to raise rates or we're going to cut rates. So right now we're trying to get rates, which means the rate at which money is borrowed. Remember that. Interest rates is what they cutting or what they increasing, the rate at which money is borrowed. Now, think about this. The Fed, the central bank, is where your banks get the money from. So the Fed, hear me again, the banks that we go, the JP Morgan and all of them, they got to get money from the central bank, which is called the Fed fund rate. This is the rate at which the banks that we go to borrow money from them. Now, we don't get money from the Fed. The banks that we know, we don't get money from the central bank, the Federal Reserve. This is where the banks that we go to get their money from. But they got to pay that bank back. So if the central bank says, yo, we are increasing rates, then the only thing that they can do at the banks is say, okay, because we need the money, now the banks have to charge more. So the banks are now charging more for the money that they're lending us. So now when a bank charges us more, guess what? Our spending slows down, right? Why does the spending slow down? Well, because if the bank is charging you more on the money that you loaning from them, and the bank is charging businesses more money, right? Then the businesses have to charge more to us, spending slows down. So what happens here? Because that happened, consumer spending slows, and then what happens here is less consumer loans. So now you got less people taking out loans. Remember, this is how the bank makes money. The banks makes money when you do what? Loan money from them, right? But if the central bank have raised rates up, that means they're going to charge your bank more, and the bank not going to eat that L. So they're going to do what? Shift that off to you, to the consumer. So now what happens is the consumer spends less. But why does the consumer spend less? Because businesses now have to do what? Increase their prices. Now, let's get into the talk we talking about with tariffs right now. We're going to interject this right here. The reason why we're going to interject that right here is because now if our economy if our government, and this is not us saying we for Trump. This is not for us saying I'm from the EU. This is explaining to you what's going on, right? So you can understand rates and tariffs. So now what happens is if our government says, yo, we're gonna put tariffs on this. Now, mind you, right now, everybody got tariffs on everybody. It's been in place, right? But let's say the government says, okay, we're gonna increase the tariffs on y'all. So now what happens is you're saying, okay, if in order for you to, I'm gonna put it in street terms, in order for you to hustle on my block, you gotta pay draft. Draft means you gotta pay me just to hustle on my block. Well, if you was paying me $100, I just charge you an extra $100 or an extra $200 just to be here. So what does that do? That cut into my profit. Let's say I had some bricks. I'll talk about bricks for a house right here. Let's say I was selling you the bricks for $10 a brick, right? $10 a brick, right? But you saying, in order for me to sell my bricks in your neighborhood, you gotta pay me $2 for every brick you sell. And so let's say for the long as you say, you know what? I'm okay with that because I'm selling 100 bricks. I don't mind giving you $2. I'm selling for 10. But now what I say is, I'll come back to you and say, hey, check this out. I was charging you $2, but now I'm about to charge you $4. So now I really want to hustle over here. It's booming. I've been hustling over here for years. I got this trap jumping. But now you done went from $2 to $4. So now I can't sell the same brick for $10. So essentially, what do I got to do with the bricks? I got to now sell the bricks for a higher price. I may go to what? $12 just so I can offset and be back at what I was at originally. Does that make sense? All right, so that's what tariffs are. So now everybody's saying, okay, guess what? You originally were charging me $2 to hustle over here, but guess what? Now, I was selling bricks over here to you, but you was selling me pots to come in my hood. So I was charging you $1 to come hustle in my hood for the pots. But now since you up the ante on me to $4 to sell the bricks in your neighborhood, I'm going to now charge you $3 to sell your pots in my neighborhood. So now this is what's going on. So he's like, no. I'm not letting you charge me $3. So guess what? Instead of me charging you $4 on the bricks, now I'm going to charge you $6 on the bricks. And so now somebody said, oh, you want to charge me $6 on the bricks? Guess what? I'm going to charge you $7 on the pots. So that's what's going on. Who gets beat up and all that? Because the customer, the distributor is not going to sit on that. Now they're going to offset that to who? The customers. All right, let's reel it back a little bit. I hope y'all like that. Let's reel it back a little bit. So now what happens is when we get back to here, we went to interest rates. The central bank now charges the regular banks, the JPs, the banks that we go to more. Automatically, the consumer gonna feel that. So now consumers stop taking on loans. Remember, banks make money from what? Loans. That's why they want you in these loans for 30 years for the house, 20 years for the house, 10, years on 60 months on a car, because they want that money in the long run. They want you paying it off, and you got to watch that because you got to make sure they don't have prepayment penalties. Also through credit cards, right? That's why a lot of the new money came in the form of credit. So now what happens is right here, customers pay more interest on credit cards because if the rates went up here, the loans went down here. Now they know everybody have credit cards. This is why right now the consumer credit card debt is up to 1.7 trillion. Why? Because this is the culprit right here. This is the big culprit right here. You know why this is the big culprit? The reason why that's the big culprit is because most credit cards are make-believe money. A credit card is make-believe money. This is money that does not exist. This money does not exist until you swipe the card. So the minute you swipe the card, you've now put new money. The minute you swipe the card, you put new money in it. Because that money didn't exist, you now are paying interest on money that didn't exist based on your what? Credit score or the nature of the card. So this is why this is so dangerous. Because unlike banks who print money, right? Money goes here, it has an exchange value. The money on credit cards does not exist until you swipe. Okay, like listen to that well. The money that's on a credit card So you got a credit card that has a $100,000 limit on it. Guess what? The $100,000 is not, if you never touch that card, that money does never exist. The minute you touch that card goes in existence, and then those interest payments is what that card company is living off of. Does that make sense? All right, cool. So now watch this. Customers pay more interest payment. Now guess what? We got less disposable income. So now when people have less disposable income, what happens next? Disposable income is, so the government has an average tally on how much each household has in disposable income, right? So when people don't have a lot of disposable income, why? Because everything is now costing more. Bills are costing more. Interest rates cause everything to cost more, right? Houses cost more, cars cost more, taxes on foods and everything now costs more. So now we got less disposable goods. So now what happens here? The demand for goods slow down. So things that you would spend money on, you had, I have $50 extra, I got $100 extra, I got $200 extra. Guess what? You don't have that disposable income no more. So because you don't have that disposable income no more, guess what? Demand for goods start going on. So you might like to eat noodles and stuff here and there, but guess what? You don't got that disposable income. You're not doing that. You might take a little trip here and there. Guess what? You don't got disposable income. You're not doing that no more. So then what happened now? Businesses make less profit. So when people don't have disposable income like they used to have, businesses now make less profit than what they used to do. Now guess what happens here? Stock market falls. Why do stocks fall? Because profits and revenue decline. So a lot of what's going on right now is because they hearing the word tariff, immediately they're putting all of this in play minus this. So now this is why they want the bank to cut rates. So they got a rate cut coming up. The reason why they want the Fed to cut rate, they want the Fed to cut the rates is because if they cut rates, then that means banks can charge less. That means people can spend more. People can get more loans. The interest, here's the tricky part. The interest won't be as high, but it'll be down on these cards. And then guess what? This disposable income now picks up. And when that disposable income picks up, people spend more money, businesses make more profit, stock prices go up. This is why interest rates are important. And this is why we're hearing so much about tariffs right now. So man, I hope y'all learned a lot from this right now. I know I ain't the best drawer, but I try to put some things on the board that you can see that make sense. You feel what I'm saying? But this one is the culprit right here. This is the one that's important. The payment on the credit cards, man. Listen, it's your boy, the Wall Street Trapper, man. Listen, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe to the channel, man. We're going to keep dropping some heat in these videos to help you understand how to maneuver in the market, to help you understand a little bit more about economics so you can be better, so you can build legacy, and so you can turn your last name to an asset, man. Make sure you check out our show each and every Tuesday called Trapping Tuesdays on the Wall Street Looks Like Us Now Network at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Last but not least, man, make sure you realize that's not me inside of there talking to you about Bitcoin and WhatsApp and all that. That is a scam. Also, man, listen, we got Patreon where we talk about our options. We got Trappers Anonymous where we talk about our buy and hold and break that down for you. Those two communities are amazing. We got the Options Masterclass, the definitely best Options Masterclass in the game, man. It's your boy, the Wall Street Trapper, man. I love y'all, man. Salute.